Hello everyone! Welcome to another video sa DevStuff with JP Ada channel. Ito naman si JP ng Programmers Code Posting at today, pag-uusapan natin is about differences ng database sa data warehouse. Right? Ba't tayo gumagawa ng data warehouse? Sa data lake, sa data mart, sa data lakehouse. So yung mga bagay na yun, pag-uusapan natin in this video. Okay? So, again, if di pa kayo nakapag-like and subscribe, please like and subscribe. It's a video na to, sa channel na to. Helps me out a lot para masaya tayo lahat. Ayun. So, let's get right into this. So, pag nag-data analysis tayo, kailangan natin data, obviously. Right? So, usually yung data natin is nasa mga iba-ibang sources like databases, like APIs, or files, right? So, something like that. Now, yung problem is, so maraming problems with regards to data and malaki talaga yung percentage ng collecting data and actually processing data apart from the actual analysis, right? Like a lot of the work talaga that gets into analysis is actually getting data and preparing it, especially kung marami kayong data and data sources. So, usually pag marami tayong data, we actually put it into one place, we consolidate it, para dun tayo mag-hold ng analysis kung saan man natin nilagay yung data. So, previously, before, pinagagamitan natin dito sa database, right? Kasi wala naman tayong choice, right? Sa database natin ilalagay, kasi pag-analyze natin is by SQL, right? Although, yeah. So, yung problem doon, marami siyang problem, right? Kasi relational databases, when I say databases right now is really relational databases. Usually sa relational databases handle just transactions. So, usually OLTP sila. Optimize sila for transactions, not for analysis. Okay, not for massive processing. So, yun yung problem, right? Hindi niya kaya. Usually, hindi niya kaya i-handle yun. Now, there are ways to actually make this viable sometimes. So, for example, Postgres, you can actually turn it into a like data warehouse given enough resources, right? Pero, traditionally, before, hindi siya kaya. Okay? So, yung naging solution doon is to use a data warehouse. So, yung data warehouse is a storage for relational data, for table data, mga tables, right? Parang Excel or something like that, right? So, doon natin nilalagay yung data natin sa mga data warehouse. So, dinilagay na natin yung mga data sa data warehouse kasi mas kaya ng data warehouse yung pag-process and pag-store. Okay, so, usually may hit natin yung limit kasi we're trying to keep lahat ng data as much as we can or as much data as we can dun sa mga data warehouses. So, kung database yung gagamitan natin, hindi niya kaya. Also, processing power, nahihirapan siyang i-process. Kulang yung computing power ng mga database compared to mga data warehouse. Okay, so yun yung isang advantage ni data warehouse. No? So yun. So, nakagamit tayo ng data warehouse and then happily ever after. The end. Which is not really the case. Nagkaroon tayo ng changes, obviously. Kaya hindi lang data warehouse yung nag-i-exist sa mundo. So, later on, nung nag-AI na tayo, so, kailangan na din natin ng mga, hindi lang structured data yung kailangan natin, but kailangan natin ng mga unstructured or semi-structured data. Okay. So, for example, if you're doing AI, right, and you're doing AI on images or videos, right, or audio, for example, hindi yan structured data, right? So, kung bubuksan mo yung mga file na yun, it's just pure gibberish. There's almost no structure to it. That's why it's called unstructured, right? That's why hindi mo siya malalagay as a table in data warehouse kasi wala siyang structure, so hindi mo siya masastore, right? There should be ways to do it, but why would you do that in table form, right? Anyway, here came the advent na of data lakes. With data lakes, we can store hindi lang mga table form data, hindi lang structured data, hindi lang relational data, but also files, unstructured like blobs, right? So we can store images, videos, documents, and whatnot, right? So yung mga yun, pwede natin silang ma-store sa data lake. Now, it worked for a while, pero the process with data lakes kasi is, it's a part of ELT. So, napag-usapan natin before yung ELT, wherein kukunin natin yung data from different sources, ilalagay sa isang raw data storage, which is yung data lake, and then ipaprocess natin siya, then ilalagay sa data warehouse. Hindi pa rin tayo makatakas sa data warehouse. Kailangan natin ng data lake para as support kay data warehouse. So, ba't ganun yung case? Kasi, you can't really query directly kay data lake. Okay, hindi ka pwede the usual way kasi, diba, obviously, kay database, nag-query ka, unless nakagamit ka ng URM is via SQL, right? You use the structured query language, SQL, to communicate dun sa database mo to get your data. Yun yung ginagamit ng pag-query. And that is the same for a lot of mga systems, especially kay data warehouse. Right? Kung kay data warehouse, gumagamit ka din ng SQL to query it to get the answers to your questions via the query, right? And that is yung ginagamit din ng mga BI tools such as Power BI, right? So, yung Power Query mo, for example, i-convert din yan depende kung saan ano yung source. Like, if sa data warehouse na nagsusupply ng SQL, it will be converted into SQL. So, SQL pa rin yung bagsakan, right? So ayun nga, kailangan pa rin natin mag-query. But the thing is, if it's a file, right? If it's a file sa data lake, hindi mo siya pwedeng ma-query. Okay? You can't query an image. Essentially, right? So, or you can't query a document na lang. That's an easier case, right? You can't query a document. So, ayun yung problem. So, nakapag-store ka nga, yes. And may mga advantages pang iba, like better ACLs, access control list for security and privacy, right? And better ways of accessing it and compressing whatever yung mga features talaga ng data lake. It depends on every data lake. Pero yun nga, you still can't query a data lake. Yun yung problem. So the ELT pa rin, the ELT process is yung raw data yung nilalagay mo kay data lake. Then afterwards, ipaprocess mo siya na ilalagay mo kay data warehouse. So data warehouse pa rin yung bagsak. So, because of these problems, parang redundant pa rin and marami pang problem na iba, kaya create yung data lakehouse. Okay, so yung data lakehouse is, actually it's just like parang a business-ish term, right? Parang yung mga lang before, yung mga multi-cloud, hybrid cloud. I mean, yes, they do exist, pero parang they just created this parang jargon para lang magamit sa like business settings. Pero anyway, I digress. So yeah, create nga yung data lakehouse for this particular purpose. Now, sa data lakehouse, nakukombine mo yung mga iba-ibang features ng ng data lake at ng data warehouse. So, meron kang data lake, pero nakiquery mo directly, may ACID transactions ka, may time travel ka, meaning you can go back to previous states ng particular table mo, and so on and so forth, right? Without it being a different table. Okay? So, those kinds of things, right? Paghalo mo yung best parts ng both data lake and data warehouse. Yun yung data lakehouse. So, yung current software ngayon that is open source is Delta Lake. Okay? So, yun yung current na software, open source software that actually supports that. There's a more advanced version na naka Databricks. Pero, with the release ng Delta Lake 2.0, almost halos wala ng difference yung Nakai Databricks tapos yung open source Delta Lake. So if you want to use yung mga features yung mga advanced features like CDC, change data capture kay Data Lake, you can Delta Lake, you can definitely do that, right? So ayun, Delta Lake is the open source na the data lakehouse implementation currently. Okay? So yun. So yun yung mga differences nila. So data warehouse is where you put your yung mga structured data mo before, right? Or until now, marami pang gumagamit ng mga data warehouse. Lalagay mo lahat ng data mo into data warehouse for querying, right? Tapos, data lake is for storing mga unstructured data, right? And usually it's raw data, and then ipaprocess mo din ilagay ko data warehouse. And then we have the data lakehouse, which is a combination of the best parts of both. Alright, so as a bonus, hindi ko nakalimutan yung data mart. So yung data mart is just a subset ng data warehouse. Okay, so lesser sources or more specific na tables sa data warehouse mo. So more specific na data namespace where you put your tables in na useful sa na specific na users. Although honestly, currently if you're using mga advanced na solutions like advanced data warehouse features, or if you're using just normal lakehouse, right, hindi na, medyo redundant na siya kasi you can actually do more advanced na access control kay advanced data warehouses or sa normal na data lakehouse, right? So it's actually part of their feature set na you can do that. So you can essentially give just specific access to particular tables sa specific na sa specific na mga teams. Okay? Ayun. So, yun yung data mart. You don't again, subset siya ng data warehouse. But then again, you actually don't need that kasi parang you can actually create those instead of creating specific like tables. You can just use ACLs. Alright, so that is all for today. I hope may tutunan kayo. If may tanong kayo, just leave a comment, and also don't forget to like and subscribe to this video and to this channel sa Dev Stuff with JP Ada. And salamat sa panonood, and I will see you all next time.